It's a cold, blustery night in Gakona, Alaska. It's 3:30 a.m. The sky is clear. No storms. No pressure systems forming on radar. Just quiet wilderness stretching for miles. A meteorologist monitoring overnight systems notices something strange. A circular atmospheric disturbance appears high above the region. Tight, contained, pulsing. Not drifting in from the Pacific, not building from natural convection. It looks localized. Within minutes, amateur radio operators report bursts of interference, static across short wave frequencies, minor GPS inconsistencies, and a flicker in satellite telemetry. Then the disturbance dissipates. No public alert, no news coverage, no explanation. And just a short distance away stands a field of towering antennas, metal spines rising from the Alaskan tundra. The High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program, known as HAARP. Officially, it studies the ionosphere. Unofficially, some believe it can steer hurricanes, trigger earthquakes, manipulate human emotion, and weaponize the weather itself. Coincidence or control? In this week's episode of the Conspiracy Atlas, I'm going to be talking about HAARP and weather manipulation. Tonight, we look up at the sky and ask whether someone might be shaping it. What is HAARP, really? Before we descend into theories, we need clarity. HAARP was established in 1993 in Gakona, Alaska. It was funded by the U.S. Air Force, the U.S. Navy, and DARPA. Its stated mission? To study the ionosphere. So what is the ionosphere? It's a charged layer of Earth's atmosphere roughly 50 to 400 miles above the surface. Solar radiation ionizes particles there, creating a region that reflects and refracts radio waves. This layer makes long-distance radio communication possible. HAARP's central instrument is called the Ionospheric Research Instrument, an array of 180 high-frequency antennas spread across 33 acres. At maximum output, it can transmit about 3.6 megawatts of power upward into the ionosphere. Upward, not downward? That distinction matters. The facility does not fire beams at cities. It transmits radio waves skyward to reportedly heat small patches of the ionosphere for research. Heating, in this context, does not mean combustion. It means exciting charged particles in a localized region, alternating electron density briefly to observe effects on radio propagation. In 2015, operational control transferred to the University of Alaska Fairbanks. The military stepped back, officially. So on paper, HAARP is a research station, but perception doesn't always follow the paperwork. So where do these theories begin about HAARP? If HAARP is just a scientific tool, why does it dominate conspiracy forums? Because weather modification isn't fiction. It has history. In the 1960s through the 1980s, the U.S. government conducted Project Storm Fury, an attempt to weaken hurricanes by seeding them with silver iodide. The results were inconclusive. Then there was Project Popeye during the Vietnam War. Yes, you heard that correctly, Project Popeye. It was an attempt for the U.S. military to seed clouds to extend monsoon seasons over supply routes. That operation was real. It happened, which means governments have experimented with influencing weather all over the world. That fact alone gives oxygen to the HAARP narrative. Now consider the logical conspiracy theorists use. If HAARP can heat sections of the ionosphere, and the ionosphere interacts with atmospheric systems, then perhaps altered charged particles could influence pressure patterns. Influence pressure patterns? And influence the wind? If you influence the wind, you influence storms. It's a chain reaction hypothesis, ladies and gentlemen. Scientifically, there's little evidence HAARP can create hurricanes or earthquakes. The energy output, while largely research standards, is minuscule compared to the energy of natural weather systems. A hurricane releases heat energy equivalent to multiple nuclear bombs per second. HAARP's output is not remotely comparable, though. Yet, after Hurricane Katrina, online forums surged with claims that the storm had been engineered. And after the 2010 Haiti earthquake, similar accusations did surface. California droughts, Texas winter storms, wildfire seasons. Each major climate anomaly finds its way back to the same question. Was HAARP involved? The pattern is predictable: unusual weather, public fear, technological installation, suspicion, but weather isn't the only layer. But there comes fear and a lot of frequencies with this. Beyond storms, some claim HAARP emits extremely low frequency, ELF, waves capable of influencing human brain activity. The idea is rooted in real science, or so they say. Human brains operate at electrical signals measurable in hertz: alpha waves, beta waves, delta waves. ELF waves are used in submarine communication because they penetrate water deeply. But could ELF frequencies affect populations? Mainstream research indicates no measurable behavior influence at HAARP's operational levels. But some still fear the invisible radiation has deep cultural roots, from microwave ovens to cell towers to even 5G networks. The anxiety is consistent: unseen waves, unseen consequences. HAARP fits that archetype perfectly. Tall antennas, remote location, military funding. It looks like something secretive, and when something looks secretive, the stories begin to grow. But where does this power come from, and is it controlled? Let's take a step back. Why does the idea of weather control resonate so deeply? Because weather has always been this divine idea. Ancient civilizations attributed storms to gods. Lightning was Zeus, thunder was Thor. Control the sky, and you control survival. Modern societies are no different, just more technological. Imagine controlling hurricane patterns, drought cycles, agricultural yields, disaster timings, military operations. If a nation could weaken a rival through engineered climate stress, crop failure, infrastructure damage, the strategic advantage would be enormous. That possibility alone sustains the myth, not because it's proven, but because it's powerful. But not only that, it fueled suspicion and a shutdown. In 2014, funding cuts led to HAARP's temporarily ceasing operations. Conspiracy forums erupted. They're shutting it down because we found out. But in 2015, the facility reopened under academic control. Public tours were offered, research papers were published, transparency increased. Yet for some, that transparency was merely camouflage. If weather weapon research existed, they argue it would simply move elsewhere, classified, compartmentalized, invisible. And here lies the heart of conspiracy durability. Absence of evidence becomes evidence of secrecy. So what is all of this HAARP nonsense? Let's return to Alaska. Imagine standing beneath those antenna arrays, metal towers aligned in geometric precision. When activated, you don't see beams, you don't hear thunder, you might not notice anything at all. And that subtly fuels imagination. But if weather were weaponized, it wouldn't announce itself. It would look like nature. Storms would still form, rain would still fall. Only the origin of it all would be questioned. And here's something that's often overlooked. HAARP is not unique. Similar ionospheric research facilities exist in other countries, including Russia and Europe. Global scientific communities study atmospheric physics, yet HAARP became the symbol. But why? Because it sits at the intersection of military funding, atmospheric science, and public mistrust. And in the modern era, mistrust spreads faster than storms, as we all know. So what is HAARP? A research instrument studying upper atmospheric physics? Yes. A proven weather weapon? No credible evidence supports that. A symbol of technological overreach? For many, absolutely. The ionosphere remains one of the least understood regions of our planet's atmospheric system. And when knowledge is incomplete, our imagination fills the gaps. The sky has always belonged to nature. But if technology can heat charged particles 50 miles above our heads, if radio waves can ripple through the upper atmosphere, then the real question isn't whether HAARP controls the weather. It's whether we would ever truly know if something someday could. Because the most powerful forces are the ones we can't see. And that's the truth behind HAARP. So that does it for this week's episode of the Conspiracy Atlas. Be sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Share with your family and friends and tell them to tune into the Conspiracy Atlas. And if you do like this, let me know in the comments what you think about HAARP, and do you think weather manipulation has been going on? And if it has, how long has it been going on? Has it been decades, centuries, millennia? Let me know in the comments. This has been this episode of the Conspiracy Atlas. I'm your host, and I will see you all in the next episode.